Our next speaker is Hyepin with Face LA. I have Desiree with NAWRB, who is one of our sponsors this year, introducing Hyepin because those two have known each other for such a long time, and I feel like she'll do the best job at it. Thank you, Desiree. Thank you, Hyepin. We appreciate you both being a part of Homeownership Day.
I cannot say how incredible Hyepin is. That's an understatement. So I'll give you the written version and I give you 1 second of my personal. She served under President Obama as a U.S. presidential appointee on the board of AmeriCorps. She is a president and founder of Faith and Community Empowerment called FACE, a national nonprofit involved in empowering churches and nonprofits to leverage their resources by building capacity, leadership, and partnership in economic development and serving as a bridge between the Asian American community and the greater community at large. What is so incredible about Hyepin is that whether it goes from having direct contact to police, be involved in the community and giving back for the bigger empowerment of just love and being the go-to person in the community from around the world to connect you from a spiritual side, from a holistic side, from the ability to share and the quality of life. I could not say anyone better that does that from the perspective of what she's been doing. And I'm so honored to call her a friend and what we do. So Hyepin, take it away.
Well, I feel like I haven't paid you enough. Thank you, Desiree, and thank you, Angie, both of you for the invitation and this platform. Again, my name is Hyepin, and I serve as CEO of Faith and Community Empowerment, an organization that helped to start. This year we celebrate 20 years of service, and our acronym is FACE. And we say that we strive to bring the face of God through service and lift those who are faceless. One of the key components of our organization's start was around homeownership. And as many of you are in the room, I'm sure that you all understand the power of homeownership, that there is a $200,000 difference in wealth between homeowners versus renters. And part of my story is that my parents, being in ministry, they thought they were going to go preach the gospel, lead people to God. And they did a lot of that, but they also ended up becoming really unpaid social workers because, again, I think when people are in crisis, they tend to go to their faith leaders who serve as first responders. And so for that, my parents did good with what they did have, but in my heart, I always carried this desire, could there be a better way? Because I did see their struggle. And I grew up and I got to know the pastor of First AME Church, Pastor Cecil Murray, and also Pastor Mark Whitlock, who was in charge of economic development. And they were doing the very same things that my parents were doing in ministry, but because they had created an affiliated nonprofit, they were able to partner with the broader community, whether you're realtors, lenders, corporate America, government. And so their offering was $3 million, which is still a lot, but they brought in an additional $12 million. So you could imagine with all those additional resources, the impact that they could have in terms of whether it's job training, homeownership, they had affordable housing, they had small business loans, even venture capital, for which eventually I joined their team. But what was really impressive is that because of the partnership, I saw that the stakeholders, whether they were government officials, political entities, or corporate America, had a stake in this church. And they were lauding the work of this church in rooms and places where usually God's not mentioned, communities of color are not mentioned, or churches are mentioned. And suddenly these stakeholders, the church was perceived as a contributing stakeholder and someone that should be invited into the decision-making room. I pause to make a point here. As a Korean American coming out of the LA riots, this year is April 29th, will be the 30th anniversary of the LA riots. And I remember that our community was hit with over 40% of the damages, $1 billion in damage, right? Over 40% were incurred by our community, and over 2,300 businesses that were destroyed. And, you know, what was sad was that when we were kicked out and crying, there was no one there to cry with us. And as you know, this past year, there's been the pandemic, the anti-Asian hate, the whole George Floyd and Black Lives Matter. I mean, the racial tensions and all the divisiveness and political everything has really hurt our country in terms of moving forward and coming with solutions that could really help advance everyone, including making and helping people become homeowners. And I saw this model of partnership that created a win-win, that created a vested interest in one another. And so I just want to plant a seed today in terms of, as you guys are also pursuing your career, your business, that you are mindful of how to foster more partnerships that I think would really help our country move forward. So I saw this win-win-win model and I said, gosh, how could I bring it to my community? And long story short, literally with lots of miracles, our organization formed in 2001. And HUD, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, was one of our major partners for our first economic development conference that brought over 350 individuals. But soon after, I realized that there was this amazing resource of down payment assistance offered by government as well as banks. And, you know, this year, through some of our various partners, potentially a homeowner or home buyer could get up to $197,000 in down payment assistance. And, you know, this field is not a straight path. You know, a lot of the banks who offer this program, they offer it because of CRA requirements and obligations. And so literally usually, you know, per market, there might be one or two officers who may know about that product. So an average person walking into a branch most likely would not be able to, you know, get information even if they ask. And then also the government, whether it's the city, the county, their state programs, you know, offer different levels of down payment assistance. But again, it's certain designated loan officers, you know, are qualified, but even then they're probably not properly trained or committed. So it's kind of a maze. And our organization has been able to get into this space, and we have trained and helped home buyers be on their way to achieving their dream of home ownership. Over 12,000, whether it's our home ownership fair last year through, you know, because of the pandemic, you know, for many of us, doing in-person events has been a question. But we did an online event where we brought over 600 individuals, and we'll be having a home ownership fair this June as well. So first of all, I want to share one of our success stories. Is Kane Rivera, 22 years old, income less than 35,000. And he was able to get over $115,000 in down payment assistance. And he said that, and only $2,900 of his money out of pocket. I mean, really impressive, right? And he said his mortgage was cheaper than his rent. And so ABC7 came to cover this. So this is one of two stories that I want to lift up. But let me go ahead and share the video. It's 30 seconds, so this one's really short.
Buying a home in Southern California is out of reach for many people, but a program that helps low-income wage earners purchase a home is getting some rave reviews. 22-year-old Vicente Rivera just bought this $249,000 Lake Balboa. His down payment, just $2,900. This was made possible by the nonprofit group FACE LA, which stands for Faith and Community Empowerment. FACE works with the city of LA and private companies to find affordable housing for first-time buyers.
It makes me feel amazing. I'm literally on another high right now. Like, I feel so high off life. Like, my dream has really came true.
Vicente says he'll actually be paying less for his mortgage than he did for rent. For more information about the program, go to facela.org.
Okay, and let me stop.
Did everyone catch that he was only 22 years old while she's getting the next one? I mean,
Um,
that's incredible.
Yeah. So again, you know, for those of you who may be familiar, but for those who are not, there are, again, different types of down payment assistance. And basically, but one of the key requirements is that they need 8 hours of homebuyer education class offered by HUD-approved counseling agencies like ourselves. And so this type of program is available, and we provide guidance. And then we not only do we provide the education, but we do the one-on-one counseling, and afterwards we connect them with the right loan officers who have the expertise and commitment and passion, right, to help with first-time home buyers, as well as realtors, again, who have expertise in this space. So let me go ahead, and I think that, you know, part of the faith component is that a lot of people struggle because, you know, especially for people who may be in this space, even for people who are wealthy, you know, when you touch real estate, the process could be arduous. Just a lot of unexpected things could happen. But for first-time home buyers, a lot of times, many of them are low income, and they may lose a job along the way. Just a lot of things could happen. And so it takes a lot of faith, but also, again, wonderful partners that have the expertise to help spur and encourage these first-time home buyers to be able to do it. And, you know, there are also programs that doesn't have to be necessarily first-time home buyers as well. So again, there's different lenders that we have been able to find that provide that. And most down payment programs is for a family, like single unit, but there are some programs that will even provide for 2 units. And then also, you know, people imagine that you have to be dirt poor, but actually, for example, the city of LA offers programs where you could be not just low income, but you could be moderate income and even high moderate income. And depending on size of family, that income limit could even increase significantly. Also, there's a California statewide program as well that it's not based on income, it's actually by like counties, right? Ventura County and Orange County. And so again, the income limit could be different. And then for certain programs, it's not really based on income, but if you can buy the property in a certain census, low income census tract. In California, there's so many low income, everywhere you touch is probably, you know, there might be populations with low income census tract as well. Let me go to housing. This is our website. Let me go to homeownership, and if you go down further, there's some additional testimony. So I'm going to tell the story of Renee. Very moving. While I'm trying to do this, you know, I am going to go ahead and say that for some of you, you may be involved with faith entities or nonprofits, or you yourself would like to come into this space where you could be of greater service to the broader community in community engagement. And what I've seen is that to be successful in this space, you need some certain set of skills like fundraising, government relations, media relations, and you also need some tools like a media release template or a grant template, right? Or sponsorship package. In addition to that, you also need relationships, whether it's with government officials, corporate America funders, etc. And so we have been able to design a program called the C2 Leadership Institute, in which we train faith leaders and anyone else who wants to become savvy in this space. So let me go ahead and play this, and then hopefully we could get finished with Renee's story as well. Okay, hopefully this will work. Oh no. Internet connection's off. For some reason, it's not working.
It says it's a 0. Well, we did have a question, Hyepin, about how low the income needs to be in order to receive down payment assistance. That was coming from Natalie.
Yeah, so a single individual could have income as high, I don't know about low as much as high, right? You want the income limit like 64,000. I'm doing it by memory. And a family of 4, I believe, was like a 90-something thousand. So if you could just, it's basically, you can look at the county low to moderate income census tract. So that 80% is a low to moderate. But like I said, for you know, I believe for Cal Hoffa, like for LA County, is like $120,000. But don't quote me on it right now. I have to look it up. But you don't, as I said before, you don't have to be dirt poor. And for certain programs, such as Bank of America, they could help you up to 17,500. And it's not necessarily limited on income versus more on, you know, low income census tract as well. So there's a lot of great programs. There's match savings programs where you could get up to 22,500 if you bring, you know, 5,500 up to. And then there's programs that are even instantaneous through the Boston private bank as well. So again, there's just a lot of plethora of different assistance programs, some that just helps with closing costs, some with down payment and closing. So again, some really amazing programs. I'm sorry that I'm thinking my thing is not working. It's such a crying shame. But anyway, you know, maybe I could just answer any other questions and we could take it there, and you can learn more. If you go to the Leadership Institute program, it is quite transformational, because I think for many of us, you know, we tend to embrace whatever labels that other people give us. And if you are a community of color, a woman, you know, anything in society that doesn't necessarily give you instant recognition and power, we tend to fall in that category. But, you know, what we find is that through this training, people learn how to shine their light, how to come into a room and shine their light, how to show up, you know, speak up in such a way that you are able to attract resources and partners, right? They come to you. And I think of like Cinderella, you know, long after she leaves the prince, right? He'll come chasing after her because you've learned how to shine your light. And so people in this training, many times, again, they feel limited in their vision and their future by their own capacity or capacity of their congregation or capacity of their immediate resources. But through this training, they learn how to leverage those partnerships, right? The expertise and the contacts and even resources in such a way that they realize that they're no longer limited to what they thought they were limited to. And so I really encourage you to check out our website, again, facela.org, www.facela.org, to find out about our homeownership program. We're helping people with foreclosure, as well as, what is it? Actually, the California Mortgage Relief Program, I just want to put it out there. They're helping people up to $80,000 mortgage assistance. So if you're behind or your clients are behind, that's an amazing resource that is available as well. And, you know, before I take questions, I just want to say that for me, my personal journey, again, you know, this thing is called faith, education, right? And homeownership. And, you know, I started my journey, you know, putting on this first event. The White House was flying in, and all the powerful big dogs were coming as speakers, and HUD was my partner, and they asked me, and this was the first event for the Korean community, and they asked how many people they expected, and I just said 350, pulled it out of thin air. And I put my job on the line, I put everything, my career, everything on the line, and 3 days before the event, I checked the registration list, and only 10 people were registered. Oh, no. You could imagine, right? My everything going dark, right? My heart sinking. And I just thought, how did I bring myself to this point? And, you know, I thought about Moses standing at the edge of the Red Sea, right? Because the idea that popped in my head was, God, was this your idea or was this my idea, right? And Moses, I thought, probably had the same thought at the edge of that Red Sea, the Red Sea before him, all the people looking at him for an answer. He has no answer, and the Pharaoh's army ready to come and just obliterate him, right? But as I look at that situation, what I knew was that, you know, if as hard as Moses worked, without God's intervention, and the miracles, Pharaoh would never let those people go. Those people would never have followed them. So it's very clear about God's part. And for me, as bleak as my situation looked, there were so many miracles that had allowed me to come to that point where the White House was flying in, HUD was actually partnering with me at this historic, partnership and event. They've never done it before and they've never done it since then, right? So I knew in my heart that it wasn't me, it was God. And I learned that, through Sunday school, that God delivers at the last minute, like Gideon's story, to get all the glory. And so with that confidence that it wasn't me, I pushed forward, and I wouldn't be telling the story otherwise today. 350 plus people came, so many miracles. And I realized that for me, it was God. And because it was God, it gave me this amazing boldness to go into rooms and places, because knowing that it was not all on me. And so I really want to encourage each of you, whatever dreams or aspirations, I believe many times that passion is not just your idea, but is a God-given idea. And, as you pursue in faith, right, especially if your heart is of service, I think that the unexpected blessings will come forth. God took me all the way to the Oval Office. If you go to my Facebook or you'll see a picture of me I was the only woman out of maybe 6 religious leaders, and only Asian. And I had the opportunity to be giving advice and input to President Obama and shake and hold his hand when we did a little prayer at the end, right? And so again, I just want to say it comes from a very lived experience, and faith and spirituality is so important when people are so low right now in fear and lack of hope as well. So with that, I don't know if there's questions.
Good point, Hyepin, and thank you for bringing in the whole faith component, because a lot of you guys that are in this room that are homeowners now, you've seen those little miracles happen when you were the offer that was accepted out of the 31 or whatever it might be. And sometimes you just know, there's a fourth grader than you at work in this process. So we did have a couple of questions for you, Hyepin, about finding sellers that are receptive to these down payment programs. And because obviously when there's 12, 13, however many offers on the table,
Yes.
what does FACE do to help these offers get accepted, or kind of make the sellers feel comfortable that this buyer is going to be able to close on the deal?
Yeah, so, for some of you who are realtors and who like to come into this space, I really encourage you to volunteer and get trained, come in and listen to the realtors who have expertise in this space. And for the home buyers, I really encourage them to use an expert in this space versus their friend, their uncle, whoever, because it is tricky, it is hard. But some examples, for example, to go through the city down payment assistance program, it takes twice as long. So it's not just the fact that you're low income and you have less blah, blah, blah. The whole escrow period will take twice as long, 2 months. And so in that way, even for me, as much as I want to serve and help people, if I'm a seller, I want to sell my home and get out of there, right? Mm-hmm. And so, to have to wait 2 months is a pain for me, is a loss. And so certain realtors have learned how to increase the house purchase to compensate the home seller for that waiting period. So that's one way to accommodate. I know that the love letter is no longer encouraged, or perhaps maybe not even allowed, but that was another way that the realtors in this space have really taken the extra step to make sure all the paperwork is ready, but also to tell the story. And Jenny is one of the realtors that we work with. And basically she asked the home buyer who was pregnant to take a picture, with the side view, with her stomach being very full, and to write a letter saying that, she's going to have a baby soon, and she really, look forward to being in the seller's home to be able to have this. Another client that we helped, his mom was a really faithful person, Christian, and the seller at the same was also of faith. And so they were really able to connect. And so they chose him and his mom over a lot of other sellers as well. There's a lot of expertise, again, that's required, but those are some of the tools that have been used. But there's a lot more to it than me going on and on right now. But it is a tough market. But surprisingly and amazingly, like I said, we do have a set of lenders and realtors that have really demonstrated over the years that they're really committed and have the capacity and expertise to get people to the finish line.
Hyepin, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today and talking about, just empowering your community and bringing the best that we can to every single area, neighborhood, housing tract, and street around there. So thank you so much for being you and for all that you do. If you would like to find out a little bit more information about maybe FACE helping you out through down payment program or getting qualified, then definitely be sure that you click on the links in the description below. Subscribe to our channel. We've had a Hyepin a few times here. And you can also follow Faith and Community Empowerment, FACE, on Facebook, or go onto their website. There's a wealth of information, so many different things out there. So thanks again, Hyepin, for joining us and all that you're doing with FACE and our community and the politicians and everything out there. Thank you. I also want to take a moment to thank all of our sponsors this year for Homeownership Day 2022. These are the people behind the scenes that are helping to spend dollars to get our website edited, the people who are helping to do the marketing campaigns and reaching out to the outlets so that you hear about this event and that the word gets out about Homeownership Day. So we want to thank the Money, Real Estate, and More podcast, M&M. You guys don't forget to subscribe to their podcast and to their website. They actually have a directory on there if you need any professionals to do business with or just consult with. They've got a really good directory on the More and More Network. So thank you again, More and More Network, for being one of our sponsors this year. I also want to thank NAWRB, Women in the Housing and Real Estate Ecosystem. They are a huge supporter of Homeownership Day. They've been a part of this event since we were meeting at Chapman University years and years ago, and they continue to educate and teach us about different ways and aspects to look at real estate when it comes from the all-encompassing lens of the housing ecosystem. So thank you, Desiree and NAWRB, for being a sponsor this year. I also want to thank Vow to Save. Vow to Save is a crowdfunding platform where people can, in essence, get a website that connects to their PayPal and work with their friends to crowdfund that down payment quicker. So if you know anybody anxious about getting a home, make sure that you tell them about Vow to Save. And our last sponsor is Mountain West Financial. Thank you so much. This bank is not just any bank. They are advocates for homeownership, which is why there's such a perfect alignment with Homeownership Day. They have all kinds of different loan programs, creative loan programs, and their goal is to get you into homeownership. So thank you, Mountain West. We appreciate you being a part of Homeownership Day 2022, and we hope to have you back again next year. Everyone, thank you again for your time. Thank you, sponsors. Thank you, speakers. Thank you, attendees. It's been a great day, and we hope that you make every day Homeownership Day.